You were not born confident. Maybe you were the quiet kid in the back of the classroom. Maybe your ideas were ignored. Maybe you raised your hand once, your voice shook, and the class laughed. Maybe after that day, you decided it was safer to stay invisible. That was not your fault. You didn't choose your temperament. You didn't choose your early experiences. You didn't choose the moments that made you doubt yourself. But here's the truth that will either offend you or set you free. If you stay invisible for the rest of your life, that will be your choice. This is the story of a man who decided to stop shrinking. And if you're tired of playing small, stay with me until the end, because this might be the wake-up call that changes everything. In a small apartment above a noisy street in a crowded city lived a 26-year-old graphic designer named Daniel. Daniel was talented. He knew it, his coworkers knew it, but no one else did. At meetings, Daniel had ideas that could improve campaigns, fix broken processes, and win new clients. He would rehearse them in his head. He would feel the right moment coming, and then someone louder would speak first, and Daniel would nod along, thinking, "That's close to what I was going to say." After work, he would scroll through social media and watch people less skilled than him build massive followings. They posted confidently. They spoke boldly. They sold their services without apology. Daniel told himself a lie millions of people believe. I'm just not that type of person. Not outgoing, not charismatic, not leader material. He blamed personality. He blamed introversion. He blamed his childhood. He blamed the fact that he wasn't wired that way. Because here's the thing about blaming your personality. It's comfortable. If you say, "That's just who I am," you never have to change. And Daniel had stayed comfortable for 26 years, until one afternoon when comfort cost him something. The company Daniel worked for was pitching a major client, a six-figure contract. Daniel had designed the concept, he had built the visuals, he had crafted the strategy. But when presentation day came, his manager asked, "Who wants to present?" Daniel looked down at his notebook. His colleague Mark, less experienced but far more confident, raised his hand. "I'll do it." During the presentation, Mark used Daniel's ideas, his slides, his structure. The client loved it. 2 weeks later, Mark was promoted to creative lead. Daniel received a polite email, great support on the project. That night, Daniel sat on his bed staring at the ceiling. He wasn't angry at Mark, he was angry at himself. For the first time in his life, he understood something painful. Talent that stays silent gets ignored. The world does not reward potential, it rewards visibility. And in that moment, Daniel realized something else. No one was coming to discover him. No one was going to knock on his door and say, "We've been waiting for you." If his life was going to change, he had to change. And that terrified him, because it meant he had no more excuses. The next morning, Daniel called his older sister, Maya. Maya had once been just as shy. Now she ran her own consulting firm and spoke at conferences. "How did you become like that?" Daniel asked. Maya laughed softly. "Like what?" "Confident." There was a pause. "Daniel," she said, "confidence isn't a personality trait, it's a skill." That sentence hit him like a slap. "I'm just not that type of person," he replied. "Not was I," she said. "I was terrified of speaking. I just decided that fear wasn't allowed to make my decisions anymore." Easy for you to say. "It wasn't easy," she said firmly. "It was uncomfortable, embarrassing, slow, but I made a choice. I stopped asking, 'What if I look stupid?' and started asking, 'What does the confident version of me do right now?'" Daniel was quiet. "Let me make you a deal," Maya continued. "For 90 days, you follow a new rule. Every day, you do one thing that scares you socially. Speak in meetings, post online, start conversations, volunteer to present. 90 days, no excuses. And if I fail?" "You will," she said calmly, "and that's how you build the skill."
The line went silent. Daniel had reached his crossroads. Path 1, stay invisible, blame personality, wait to be discovered. Path 2, build courage through action. What's it going to be? Maya asked. Daniel took a deep breath. I'm in. The first week was brutal. On Monday, Daniel forced himself to speak once in a meeting. His voice shook. He stumbled over his words. No one laughed. No one applauded either. They just nodded and moved on. Tuesday, he posted his design work on LinkedIn. He rewrote the caption 10 times before pressing publish. He felt exposed. 3 people liked it. Wednesday, he started a conversation with a stranger at a cafe. Awkward, short, uncomfortable, but survivable. That was the pattern. Awkward, uncomfortable, survivable. By week 3, something subtle shifted. His fear didn't disappear, but his tolerance for it increased. He stopped waiting to feel ready. He started acting before the fear could vote. Maya explained it to him like this. Courage is built through 3 currencies. Currency 1, repetition. You don't become confident by thinking differently. You become confident by doing the scary thing repeatedly until it becomes normal. Currency 2, evidence. Every time you survive embarrassment, you collect proof that you're stronger than you thought. Currency 3, identity. Stop saying, I'm shy. Start saying, I'm learning to communicate powerfully. Identity drives action. Daniel wrote those 3 principles on a sticky note and placed it on his desk. By month 2, he volunteered to present a minor internal project. He prepared obsessively. The presentation wasn't perfect, but it was clear. Afterwards, his manager said, "Didn't know you had that in you." Daniel smiled. "Neither did I." He continued posting online. One post gained traction, then another. People began messaging him for freelance work, not because he suddenly became a different person, but because he stopped hiding. 3 months turned into 6 months. 6 months turned into a year. Daniel no longer waited to be asked for his opinion. He offered it. He didn't interrupt. He didn't dominate. He simply showed up. 1 year after Mark's promotion, another leadership position opened up. This time, Daniel didn't look down at his notebook. He raised his hand. I'd like to lead this one. He got the role, not because he was the loudest, but because he had become visible, reliable, and confident enough to be trusted. 2 years later, Daniel launched his own design agency. The same skills he once hid were now the foundation of his income. But the biggest transformation wasn't financial, it was internal. He no longer saw himself as the quiet kid. He saw himself as someone who builds courage through action, and identity determines behavior. One evening, after speaking at a small creative workshop, a young designer approached him. "I wish I had your confidence," she said. Daniel smiled. "You don't need my confidence," he replied. "You need your first 30 uncomfortable reps." She looked confused. "I wasn't born like this," he continued. "I trained it." And that's the truth most people don't want to hear. Confidence isn't granted, it's constructed. You were not responsible for the moments that made you shrink, but you are responsible whether you stay small. Because here's what most people don't understand. Playing small feels safe, but it slowly erodes your life. Every opportunity you don't take, every idea you don't voice, every risk you avoid, they add up. Silence compounds, but so does courage. Every time you speak, every time you show up, every time you act despite fear, you build evidence, you build skill, you build identity. So right now, you stand at the same crossroads Daniel stood at. Path 1, I'm just not that kind of person. Stay comfortable, stay invisible, stay frustrated. Path 2, I may not be confident yet, but I'm building it. Take messy action, embrace discomfort, collect reps. You don't need to transform overnight. You need 90 days of deliberate discomfort. Start tomorrow. Speak once in that meeting, post that idea, send that email, introduce yourself, volunteer, not because you feel ready, but because the future version of you is built by the actions you take while afraid. You were not born confident, that's not your fault, but if you die unheard, that will be your choice. So ask yourself right now, are you shrinking or are you building? Start building today.